Welcome guys to another Resto Designs video. In today's video we'll be covering another one of Tim's cars. I've got to do some work on it. He's actually going to be selling this car, so I'll take you through a small journey and a bit of history about this car and tell you the story about it. It's a really nice Windsor Blue Mark II Golf. I'll show it to you in a minute, but before we get into that, thanks for subscribing, liking and commenting on the Resto Designs videos that I've been doing with loads of Mark III and Mark II contents and how-tos. So thanks again. So without further ado, let's flip the camera around and I'll show you this really immaculate, tidy Windsor Blue Mark II big bumper 16 valve 1990 spec Mark II Golf. Which will be up for sale, but I need to do the clutch and tidy it all up a little bit, but it's really tidy as it is already to start off with, so it's just kind of the icing on the cake almost. It's a really tidy car. It's a G-Reg, so it's a late car with big bumpers. I removed the grille, don't worry about this. I removed it because I just tried it on Leon's car, as you saw in the previous video maybe. This running the original 15-inch RAs. This actually does have, very rare now and quite expensive and hard to find, the G60 arches front and rear, so they're flared slightly. The bumpers are in good condition. I think they're actually from VW Heritage, so it's had quite a lot of bits spent on it. It's got all new trim arches on it and the sills as well. This was done maybe about, I think Tim restored this about 5 or 6 years ago, and he hasn't really used it much since then, and it's just time, I think, for him to sell up now. So the carpets and the mats are just really good condition. All the seats fold up. It's a really tidy example. Even the driver's seat is not worn. The steering wheel's definitely not worn on it either. I think it stands at 167 at the moment. It's all original on the outside apart from the arches. It's a really tidy example. The only difference is actually under here, under the bonnet. As some of you maybe with a sharper eye can tell, it's running the later style alternator. That's because it's actually an ABF engine running the original K-Jet KR engine management and fuel system, as well as the original 16 valve gearbox, the 2Y gearbox, which is really nice package with this car that weighs just over or near 1,000 kilos with 160, because by the time you put the K-Jet on and you've lost all the cat and all the rest of it, it's a really nice package on this. It makes it a really nice car. So my plan is going to be, I'm going to be removing the gearbox, also one of the core plugs, because the car's been sitting around for quite a while. The core plugs have got rusty, so it's losing coolant. So I'm going to replace all 3 core plugs. I'm also going to be sorting out the grille and cleaning up these misty spotlights, and generally changing inlet manifold for an aqua blasted one, so it's all clean. Detailing some of these fuel lines and just get the car to a really nice spec and standard. Okay, so that's the introduction done on this car. Let's get it into the barn and start stripping down this gearbox. So first thing I'm going to do is do a service, do the oil, do the filter, remove the gearbox oil and kind of get it all stripped down. I'm going to take off this fan cowling. I also noticed these leads have been replaced, these earth straps with this red cable. I don't really like that. I think I actually have an earth and a positive from a Mark III, I think from the convertible, that 3.5 that I squashed in one of the videos that I broke. I think I got those leads, so I'm going to replace those with the Mark III style ones, because it doesn't look very original, doesn't look very nice. Okay, so I've had to make up a contraption with 4 cable ties, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then actually then squash it down so it retracts it. And the reason why you do that, so that one, it lets you see the free play now that I have down here, gives me that play that I need to take it off and put it on, because otherwise it's under tension, and then to kind of force it off, the spring kind of goes up, and then to try and get it back down again, soft tension is absolute mission. You more or less might have to get a new one. So normally there's a white sleeve, like I said, like a little white contraption on here, which actually locks into these little holes, but that doesn't seem to be here. So just made this up. So now I can just remove this, and as you can see, I've removed the cowling, the fan cowling, give me more space for the engine mount, take the starter motor off. And also good news, that's good, it's got a solid battery tray. Okay, so half an hour in, I've taken off the wheels, jacked it up already, the starter motor was off, the front bracket's off, but also that rear kind of brace that goes across there is off. Speedo cable's off, the gear linkage has all been done as well. Also I've removed the front bumper. It also gives you guys a chance to see. It's quite hard nowadays to find all these cowlings intact as well on the Mark II. There's no crash accident damage on this. It's all very straight and original. The reason why I've taken the front bumper off, before you ask, unfortunately this little bracket here, so it was drooping slightly on one side, has snapped off, but luckily I've got a second-hand bumper where I'm going to actually drill this off and actually plastic weld a new one on, or a replacement on, so that it kind of sits the bumper so it doesn't slightly droop on one side. So next now is going to be removing the drive shafts. As you can see, also it's got Bilsteins. They've got very little use. Their B12 is the kit, which I think basically consists of B8 shocks front and rear, and I think IBAC or H&R, depends on how old the kit is, springs that it has on it, but it was actually badged as a B12 kit. So yeah, that's what this is running. Also on one side it's got a new caliper on one side. I noticed also when I was driving it needs to be bled slightly, the brakes, and also one caliper's new. Tim actually has a new one to fit on the other side, so as I'm doing that, as you can see, it's quite rusty and old, but just as a matter of, so they match at least, going to fit a new one on this side as well and bleed up the system as well. It's got all new fresh brake fluid all the way through, and hopefully bring the pedal back up to where it should be. Okay, crack on. Gearbox is out. It's really quite easy on these O2Os. Don't take long, maybe about 45 minutes to an hour to get this off. It's not really very difficult, and also the gearbox is quite light as well compared to the other gearboxes. So, clutch was slipping, but the clutch was actually new. Let me just grab that over here. So the clutch was actually replaced, but as you can see, it's kind of damp around there with oil. So basically, you can see also by the colour of it, and also the colour on here, it's been contaminated with oil, and the oils come from the outer seal. I mean, these boxes have two seals. There's a small one in there for the rod, and an outer one for the shaft itself. So you can see there's oil. So obviously the oil from the shaft was running along into this with the movement, and contaminating the clutch or the inside of the flywheel as well. And also the release bearing is probably gone in this as well, so I'm going to change that because that looks really flat and blunt, and it's eaten into this. So it's basically just removing it. It's quite easy. I've got two others here, and you can see side by side it's actually a good bit shorter, as well as it isn't nowhere near as pointy. So out of the three, that's probably the best one, this one, compared to the other two. So I'll put that one back in, but also I'm going to replace, so on order, I've got the seals here and here. Okay, so I've given the gearbox a good 3 or 4 washes with degreaser, water-based ones, oil-based ones, as well as a bit of diesel as well. Kind of made a bit of a concoction. I've got it all clean and it looks really quite good. So as a matter of course, I always change anyway, personally myself, these two seals as well as the release bearing, which is at the back of here. I've just done a how-to video, so you can see how that's done. It's a very short, maybe 5-6 minute video. Shows you how that's done. And now we're going to move over. That's clean. I've got the core plugs here, so I'm going to replace 2 of these at the back. The third one looks fine, but I'm going to replace 2, as well as I was also able to just had a little kink where someone had obviously over tightened the Jubilee on these. You don't have to go nuts with this really. With a hot air gun, I was able to straighten that out, so that makes with the idle stabilize the idle a lot more, as well as get full kind of power as well, because obviously the diaphragm then is being sucked up. There's also, I've got 4 switches to replace. The oil temp one that sits at the back of the head, or in this case it's at the back of the head on the KR, and 3 coolant temp switches. One is for the clocks. They're all exactly the same part number. They're all exactly the same part number and the same part. And one is there's 3 of them. So one does the clocks, the temperature gauge on the clocks. The other one is for the idle valve to work. That goes for the relay that's inside. And the other one is actually for the ignition ECU. So advance and retard the ignition to water temps. So I'm going to replace those as well. So the first thing I'm going to carry on with now is remove that core plug. Core plug, I replaced all 3, so whoever has the car next knows or can rest easy that they've all been replaced. But that was the one that was actually the troublesome one. And like I said, I just replaced all 3 of them. Okay, so I was able to find just the earth strap. Unfortunately, I couldn't find both of them. It's better than nothing, I suppose. So this is like the original OEM, just need to give it a clean up. And this is the one that was on the car. Just these leads, that terminal just doesn't look very OEM. Doesn't look very nice. Unfortunately, I don't have the red one. I'm going to see if I can find it, but I don't think I have it. But anyway, at least there's one of them done. Maybe Tim can find one. Maybe he's got one in stock. Okay, so I'm just going to fit this on, and actually now just kind of get all the rest of the little bits done. The clutch cable, the speedo cable, plug in this reverse light switch, and do these temperature switches. The coolant ones and the oil one for the MFA. Righty then, so we've got all this done in a day. It's been a long day, and I was able to get the clutch done, the release bearing, the core plug, the service done. Also straightened out that pipe that needs to be done, so that's all good. I also replaced all of those coolant temp sensors. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the Mark III a power lead, but already we got one, so I think Tim can try and source one. It really looks a lot neater just with one of them done. Left the cowling off because that's going to get painted. I also left off that bracket that goes across there. That's going to get cleaned and painted, as well as the lower half of the manifold now is going to come off. Now that we've tested it and everything's fine, you can take this lower part off and the top half and get it all aqua blasted so it looks as good as it can do. Also the front bumper's back on, apart from the grille, because I need to clean those inner spotlights, but I'll do that maybe today or tomorrow, but that'll be in the next video once I've done all the other bits. But I was also able to do the bumper and fix that bracket on there, because you know they break, and when it breaks it kind of sags to the side. It looks very unsightly, so at least that's all done and dusted. So I'm quite happy. It's been a long day, so thanks for watching and subscribing and supporting the channel. It means a lot. We keep on producing this Mark II content until I get back to Portugal. The next video will be a new car reveal. I've bought a new car, so you'll see that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Keep safe. Ding-a-ling-a-ling.